Good afternoon, all of you. Welcome back to session number third. On the behalf of Yashwantrao Bhosle Polytechnic, I would like to welcome today's resource person, Dr. S.V. Chaudhary, sir. Welcome, sir. In today's session number third, Dr. Chaudhary, sir, discuss about concrete for the future. First of all, I would like to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Chaudhary, S.V. Chaudhary, sir. Sir is working as a associate professor in Thakur College of Engineering and Technology, Kandivali, Mumbai. Sir completed PhD Technology in Civil at VJTI, Mumbai, 2017. Sir had 4 years field experience as a structural consultant. Sir designed many residential and commercial buildings. Sir had published more than 15 publications in a different national and international level journals and conference with more than 120 citations. Now, I would like to request Dr. S.V. Chaudhary sir to start today's third session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for my introduction. Thank you very much. Can you give me the screen sharing? Okay. Let me share my screen. Visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Being a civil engineer and that too in teaching, we all are familiar with concrete, and there is nothing new as a concrete for future, because we all are working on it. We are teaching its properties, and in short, I should say this is our bread and butter. So let me start with the concrete for future. The flow of my presentation will be something like this. First, we will go through some history, then some glorious achievements. Then we'll see how the once hero has become villain. No need for alternatives, effort taken all over, then our contribution, and then conclusion. So here, let us start with history of cement concrete. Now, we are familiar with cement concrete so much that we tend to forget from where that concrete has started. So it is way back in 6500 BC. And to our surprise, in UAE, the earliest recordings of concrete structure by Nabatea traders in region of Syria and Jordan. They created concrete floors, housing structures, and underground containers. Containers they were using for grain and sometimes for water. Then in 3000 BC, Egypt and China, we all know about Egypt, so pyramids and all. So Egyptians used mud mixed with straw to bind dried bricks. They also used gypsum mortar and mortars of lime in the pyramids. Now this is available in history. The documents are also available. The Great Pyramid at Giza used about 500,000 tons of mortar. A form of cement was also used to build the Great Wall of China around this time only. Now coming closer again, in 600 BC, Rome, although ancient Romans weren't the first to create the concrete, they didn't create it, but they were the first to utilize this material and widespread. In 200 BC, Romans successfully implemented the use of concrete in the majority of their constructions. They used a mixture of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater to form the mix. They then packed the mix into wooden forms and once hardened, stacked the blocks like bricks. After more than 200 years, Roman concrete structures stand tall due to their ingredients colliding with Earth's natural chemistry. So this is very important. We need to remember this. And we'll have to act on this only now, as the time is again changing. So technological milestones, if we look at this, during the Middle Ages, concrete technology crept backward. After the fall of Roman Empire in 476 AD, the technique for making pozzolana cement was lost until the discovery of manuscripts describing it was found in 1440. This regenerated interest in building with concrete. In 1824, we all know Joseph Aspardin invented Portland cement by burning finely ground chalk and clay until the carbon dioxide was removed. Aspardin named the cement after high quality building stones quarried in Portland, England, because this quarry was situated in Portland and therefore he named it as Portland cement. In 19th century, concrete was used mainly for industrial building. It was not used for housing. The first widespread use of Portland cement in home construction was in England and France between 1850 and 1880 by Francois Pouignet, who added steel rods to prevent exterior walls from spreading. This was the start of reinforced cement concrete. Now, if we look at the timeline, that in 1830, the lime and hydraulic cement is produced for the first time, that is in Canada. In 1849, reinforced concrete was invented by Joseph Moynihan. In 1854, first home constructed using reinforced concrete was built in England by William Wilkinson. 1889, the first reinforced concrete bridge is built. 1891, George Bartholomew poured the first concrete street in US and it still exists. In 1902, Auguste Pierre designed and built an apartment building in Paris using steel reinforced concrete. In 1904, the first concrete high-rise building, the Ingalls building called as, was constructed in Cincinnati, Ohio. In 1930, the first ready-mix load was delivered in Baltimore, Maryland. In 1930, air and training agents were developed. They greatly increased concrete resistance to freezing and improved its workability because of their harsh environment. This was invented there. In 1936, first large concrete dam built, the Hoover Dam and the Garland Cooley Dam. These two dams were built in 1936. Coming closer, again in 1967, the Assembly Hall was first concrete domed sports structure. In 70, fiber reinforced concrete was introduced. Union Plaza in Seattle, Washington was constructed using highest strength concrete in 1985. In 1990, a new height record was set by 1,311-story Wacker Drive in Chicago. In 1999, polished concrete introduced by HTC obviously in US. In 2000, LEED is launched by United States Green Building Council. Nowadays it is working in full form. 2003, the Solitaire is the first green residential high-rise building in United States. In 2004, creators add special fiber created by Hungarian architect Aaron Lozonci that transmit light in concrete to create translucent concrete. This was for decorative purpose. 2010, Giatec is established and starts offering IoT solutions to concrete industry. And in 2016, the world's first fully functional 3D printing building, the Office of Future in Dubai, was constructed. Now, these everything are achievements in other than our country. Let us come back to our country. Before the invention of cement, there were so many great monuments and still standing tall were constructed in our country, but all of them were without the use of cement concrete. They are massive structures constructed using stones and particularly by creating grooves in it and carved from single stone, or like those, all the structures are constructed. But cement in India is entered in 1914 when Indian Cement Company Limited started manufacturing cement in Porbandar in Gujarat. Before that, however, there was a company established in Madras in 1904 named South India Industrial Limited has started, but it was very, very small. At that time, India had to import cement from England. The price of the imported cement was higher, naturally. Some other factors such as increase in domestic demand, reduction in supply from abroad due to war, availability of Indian capital, ample raw material, cheap labor, support of government, etc., made it a leading industry in India in short period of time. Further, in 1948, government adopted the cement expansion scheme, which envisages new factories to increase the production. New factories were established at Bagalkot, Jaipur, Orissa, Travancore, etc. In 1950-51, there were 22 operating units with an installed capacity of 3.3 million tons. Cement industry was given the great importance in all and initial 5-year plans. See how importance was given, that it was a major commodity in our 5-year plans. The target of the first 5-year plan was to raise the installed capacity to 5.4 million tons, which was achieved. The industry has grown many folds since then. Many of our listeners might be knowing that in that particular era, the cement was on rationing. If we want to build a house, we need to take the permission, we need to take the uh, get the sanction amount of cement, and because of that, black marketeers were there, and it was a great black market business at that time. I remember because I was, though I was child, but it was since beginning I was interested in this industry, and finally I became civil engineer only. Now, because of these many great achievement, and we have given so much of emphasis on cement production, and then producing cement, concrete, and constructing so many buildings, and creating 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 so many facilities for human beings. Now, how this has happened that this hero of our, which is cement concrete, has become villain, and why we need to treat it as villain? So the first thing is the manufacturing, the stone line building material is responsible for 7% of global carbon dioxide emission, which is more than what comes from all the trucks in the world. That means if we stop all cement industries in the world, we will reduce 7% global carbon dioxide emission. So this is alarming thing, and because of this greenhouse effect is looming on entire earth, and right now very recently we have experienced in our Chamoli district in Uttarakhand that great glacier has fallen, and I don't know what we will hear in days to come, because more than 150 people are still missing. So as per the survey conducted by cement industry in India, cement production reached 329 million tons in financial year 2020 and is projected to reach 381 metric ton by 22. However, the consumption stood 327 in 20, and it is expected that it will reach to 379 metric ton by 2020. The cement production capacity is estimated to touch 550 metric tons by 2020. So, can we imagine what will happen if we will reach this? We certainly will reach, because we are not taking any measure to stop this, and we will reach to 550, so that 7% of carbon dioxide will reach to 10%. And it is very difficult to predict what will happen. So in future, tremendous CO2 emission will be noticeable. So minimizing carbon footprint has become the priority in every industry to slow down global warming and climate change effects. See, we have not even given a single thought for this cement industry that it will create such an hazardous thing for us. Now, very, very important question: who is responsible? Who is responsible for all these things, whatever has happened? So the obvious answer is we. We are responsible. Now, on what way we are responsible? how we can blame ourselves? The main reason is we have increased our greed to the extent which even today we are unable to see the end of it. We have become so greedy that with the small, if a person who is a family who is earning better, means above average, will start of thinking of buying a home or constructing a home, and we don't want to live in joint family. We have become nuclear families, and because of that now each person is having two dwelling houses, and that is our greed. One house at say in Mumbai, one will be at somewhere nearby location for as a holiday home, and one more at our native places. So like that our greed is increasing and there is no end to it. We have increased urbanization. Well, everybody was in search of bread and butter and have ran after the cities. Cities have become populated, and for reaching for the needs of the everyday's need of people, we have started constructing the houses. We increased the height of house because there was no horizontal growth. So we went to vertical growth, and when we went to vertical growth, we need to pour more concrete, we need more cement concrete, and we made the jungle of concrete. Instead of jungle of vegetation, we created jungle of concrete, and that is the main reason why I say that we only are responsible for whatever has happened. Now let us have a look on what are the efforts being taken all over the world. As in earlier slide, we have seen that LEED is established for green concrete. Now there are many MITES have also established for green concrete. Before a month or so, we had one international conference where we have published one paper on green concrete, myth and the realities, where we have taken all the efforts to collect all sort of myths which are prevailing in the society regarding green concrete, and try to eliminate those mythological things and put forward the realities. It started from whether that green concrete is in color, its color is green. Like that, there are so many questions people have raised, and those were answered in that paper. So, if chance permit, you can go through it. Now, the challenges that face our built environment seems to be increasing, as are the demands we make of our building and infrastructure. As I said before, that once a person coming to a city where there is no place to stay, then they will start in if there are no place to stay, then earlier it was saying in for Mumbai, that Gujarati people, they used to say, Mumbai ma rotlo male છે પણ ઓટલો નથી મળતો. That means you will get bread and butter in Mumbai, but you will not get a house to stay. That was earlier when the cement was under ration. Now it is open, and because it became open, we have started constructing buildings like anything, and we made it really a concrete jungle. We need robustness and solidity to feel safe and secure. We must build in flexibility to climate change and be able to deal with overheating, flooding, storm, all in an increasingly urban environment where high density housing can make worse some of these issues. We must ensure solutions are low carbon, material efficient, and without compromising quality and performance standards such as fire safety and non-combustibility. So these are our requirements, and for that we need to pour more concrete. So this is a vicious circle. We are supposed to put somewhere a full stop. So now there are, let us see some innovations which are made in this direction and globally. So first one is self-healing concrete. There are so many researches are going on self-healing concrete. Then 3D printed concrete. Then eco-friendly concrete. Then pervious concrete. Martian concrete. Living concrete. Graphene, that is one of the substance we will be using in concrete. Then polymer concrete. So self-healing concrete, this self-healing concrete is a concept, no matter how carefully it is mixed or reinforced, all concrete eventually cracks. And those cracks can lead to collapses. Now, how these cracks will lead to collapse, that we know. Because of crack, there will be moisture content enter into concrete, it will reach to reinforcement. Reinforcement will get corroded. That corroded material of reinforcement, ferrous material, will occupy more space. Then because of it occupies more space, it will widen the crack. The crack will widen. Then because the crack is widened, the more moisture will enter, more corrosion will happen, and finally the cover will get peel off, entire reinforcement will get corroded, and finally the beam or the column or the slab, anything whichever is constructed, will collapse. That is why scientists at Delft University of Technology invented bioconcrete, a concrete that uses bacteria to heal itself. The bacteria generate crystals that enclose their cells, and when mixed with other secretions like protein and sugar, they generate a glue-like substance. If the concrete cracks, the bacteria seal any gap by forming either limestone or calcite. See what happens in this self-healing concrete, where there are chances of getting concrete cracked. There, within the vicinity of that would be possible crack, we put the conduit of certain material which will get broken very easily. That conduit will have this solution, and once the crack appears, that conduit will get tension, and because of that tension, that conduit will crack again or break at that particular point, and that substance will come out and it will fill the gap. But then we are supposed to see its feasibility over the period. Suppose that particular beam, if we have fitted this in certainly say in beam, because beam may get cracked very easily, and because of that sometimes it will not get cracked for a longer period, say 5 years, and in 5 years suppose that inside tube conduit will also get hardened, and when it was required it will not get cracked, so beam eventually will fail. So self-healing concrete may not be the solution as a permanent solution or a solution on which we can rely for years. So it is still in the research and trial phases, but the market for self-healing concrete has already been forecasted to reach $1,375 billion globally by 2025. So people have started investing, but still we have a doubt on its feasibility. Now 3D printed concrete. So recent development from backyard castle to house built in just 24 hours have already been constructed using the technique. So here there is one very small video. Let me play it. Well, that was 3D printing concrete, and in achievements, we have mentioned that one 3D printed building is constructed that named as the Office of Future in Dubai, but that was not cast in situ. It was constructed using 3D printer and somewhere else and brought to the site and assembled. So eco-friendly concrete is one of the invention. Now people love. Traditional concrete is not an environmentally friendly material to make or use. However, scientists at London-based Novasem claim to have developed a new, more eco-friendly form of concrete using magnesium sulfate, which requires much less heating than typical concrete components. While concrete usually generates a large amount of carbon, Novasem claims that their concrete actually absorbs CO2, that is carbon dioxide, as it hardens. This development could have a huge impact once it hits the market, especially as the demand for sustainable building material continues to grow. So in future, we may see such pictures where concrete is allowing to grow the vegetation on it. Now, one of the invention is pervious concrete. This pervious concrete is another eco-friendly concrete solution gaining traction within the construction industry. Traditionally, concrete is impervious. That means water runs off it, requiring architect to direct its flow in focused way. Means in desired direction, the architect need to direct the accumulated water. Design flows and unanticipated weather patterns have unfortunately led to many cases of urban flooding, erosion, pollution, and other serious ecological issues. Because of imperviousness, what happens once we have poured the concrete on the ground, it will not allow water to percolate, and because of that, water logging will happen in the areas, and it will create the further inconvenience and all other difficulties. Sometimes called porous pavement or pervious concrete is made of large particles than traditional concrete. The large particles create voids within the concrete that allow for the gradual infiltration of rainwater into the ground below, providing a safer and more environment-friendly alternative. Once the corresponding concrete is there on the ground, in case of rainy season, water will percolate through it and it will go to the ground. So there will be no more water logging. Then one another concept came of Martian concrete. Though it sounds like the stuff of science fiction, this concrete is real, and it may even be the best building material in solar system. In response to scientific interest in building on Mars, a research team at Northwestern University created a form of concrete that can be made with material native to the red planet. That means all the material they will gather at Mars only and will create the concrete there itself. The team tackled the challenge of limited water by turning instead to sulfur. It's readily accessible on Mars, which is available there in abundance. And when heated to 240 degrees Celsius, it's melted into liquid. This creation is also durable enough to withstand meteorite impacts. That is a key element needed to create viable shelters for humans. So when we'll go to Mars, so So we are trying to create concrete here itself and be ready to create it on Mars too. Now living concrete. Concrete Futures exhibition featured examples of new and experimental forms of the material, including living concrete, developed by Bartlett School of Architecture, described as an architectural bar. It can host species such as algae, mosses, lichens to create more sustainable green walls that require no maintenance and potentially absorb pollution and noise in cities. In 2018, 8 prototype panels were installed at St. Annie RC Preliminary School in London. Now, in this particular type of concrete, this pollens of this material, vegetation like algae, mosses, and lichens, when in a dry season, they will just become inactive. They will not die. They remain in the clay accumulated in folds of concrete. And when water will get poured on the concrete, they will again come into the life and will vegetation will start on the walls. That experiment is being conducted since 2018, and the other effects are being observed because one should be very, very careful about the effect of concrete because of age. When concrete is aged, its strength is decreasing, and how much extent it gets decreased, that we need to understand well. Otherwise, the building will collapse. Next, the graphene. This is a game changer in making building with concrete greener. The form of carbon incorporated into concrete created stronger, more water resistant composite material that could reduce emission. Now this is against that eco-friendly concrete, right? But this creates a stronger, and we will see why we need a stronger concrete. Graphite has been incorporated into traditional concrete production by scientists at University of Exeter, developing a composite material which is more than twice as strong and 4 times more water resistant than existing concrete. So this has very good properties towards strength and water resistivity. The composite could be used directly on building sites, enabling the construction to strong and durable building using less concrete and reducing greenhouse gas emission. So when use of concrete will be decreased, then we will be able to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So this is a very good step towards it. It is clear, therefore, that there are numerous potential future for concrete to continue as a material of choice in the design and construction industry. Having shaped our cities for centuries and facilitating rapid expansion and new heights, it is now time to consider how materials such as concrete can continue to support innovation by being the subject of innovation themselves. The challenge for architects will be to ensure that such innovative solutions with the potential to fundamentally change how we do or do not use concrete begins to become accepted in traditionally conservative industry. We were very much conservative before 10 years, that there is no substitute for concrete, but now we have. Otherwise, it is clear that the environmental impact of concrete as it is currently constituted will see the material overtaken by its green competitor. Now, our contribution, that means certain case studies which we have done at our institute. So recycling of building debris. So this is many institute and many researchers are working on this and have published so many papers. Then use of microsilica in concrete and Martian concrete. So in recycling of building debris, because there are so many buildings which are old, more than 60 years, 80 years, and because of age and because of weather effects, continuous weather effects in cities like Mumbai or coastal areas, the buildings are, we are demolishing the old buildings and constructing new buildings, because old buildings were maybe G+3 or G+4, G+7, something like that. But now we need to construct more than G+20, G+30 buildings so that more habitation can be provided to the people. And in that we are demolishing the building, and in that process we are increasing this debris and where to throw them. That is first question. Secondly, the sustainability criteria will come into picture, because we are wasting this construction material which was earlier used. Some of the buildings are good in shape, good in strength. Still, we need to demolish them. So in such cases, we collect those debris, we segregate them, and we use as a coarse material for creating new concrete, and we experiment on the newly created concrete for its strength, and then we decide where to use, because in main building, in high-rise building, we cannot use, but we can use this in for less important structures like pavement or in compound wall or such or some partition wall or something like that, where more load is not accepted. But much, as I said, much work has already been done. Results are amazing in many cases, but with the lack of continuous supply, because all the time you will not get the raw material, and you will not get the quality building debris. Sometimes the building may be deteriorated to the maximum extent, so that debris may not be very good to use in such for whatever the motive we are working with. So it will be useless for us, and this can be considered as supportive measure, but not the fully sustainable solution. So recycling of building, we have also made some of the experiments, and the results were amazing, but still we concluded that it cannot be the final solution. It can be supportive. Then one of our group, well, along with me, we have tried this microsilica in concrete, and microsilica is a byproduct formed in electric reduction furnace during the production of ferrosilicon and silicon. The SiO2 is reduced with carbon reducing agent to give ferrosilica or silicon. In the reaction zone, gaseous SiO is formed as an intermediate product. As gas move upward, a part of it is condensed in cooler placed above reaction zone. The gas which escapes is transformed into amorphous SiO2 by quickly cooling and oxidizing it with the air which is supplied to the furnace. Now, with the help of filters, the particulate SiO2 is taken out of the furnace in off gas. The microsilica obtained in this way is generally spherical in shape, and the size varies between 0.02 to 2.05 microns. Benefit of microsilica significantly increases the durability of concrete. Microsilica reduces the permeability, increases ultimate strength gain, beneficial in all types of high strength concrete, improves bond strength to steel, improves freeze thaw durability of concrete, provides excellent resistance to sulfate or seawater attack, reduces the corrosion of steel, and significantly reduces alkali silica reactivity. Properties of microsilica: that the compound and the percent by weight. SiO2 is 86 to 90, SiC is 0.1 to 0.4, Fe2O3 is 0.2 to 0.9, TiO is 0.02 to 0.06, AI2O3 0.2 to 0.6, MgO 2.5 to 3.5, CaO is 0.2 to 0.5. Now results. What we have done here, we mix this microsilica for 6.4% with weight, not by volume, in concrete, and we checked the strength of concrete. That was we have taken M40 concrete. For M40 concrete mix, we have created this concrete including microsilica, and to our surprise, on third day we got average strength as 43.13. On 7th day it was 57.56, and on 28th day it was 72.63. So it is M40 concrete, and we are getting 72 against 40. So it is almost double. Not double, so we can take it as 1.8 times increase in average strength. And this was the maximum we got at 6.4, and 5.6 it was less, and 4.8 it was even less. So we have decided that we will use 6.4% as microsilica. Then this is the comparative strength chart. The same thing is depicted here in the form of chart, that we got this 72.63. Then we have taken one G+10 building of the plan as a C-shape plan, and using ETABS we have designed this building completely, considering earthquake and wind load and all load combinations. And then we have compared this design. Here we have used 3 concrete mixes for designing the element. One is M40, that is ordinary. Another one is M60, again ordinary, and M60, which we call this the final one, which we have got through M40 concrete using microsilica. And then we have compared the major structural elements with the recent values available in market or DSR. So with M60 concrete, we got it 75,24,933. So with respect to this, we have taken it as a datum that when we use M60 concrete, there was a increase of 9 lakh rupees in concrete in total cost, and when it was used M40 concrete for designing, there is an increase of 38 lakh rupees in total cost. So if we see that there is a almost 30% reduction in cost if we are using, instead of M40 concrete, if we are using M60 concrete with microsilica, then there is a almost 30% is much saving, and this will reduce the cost of houses, reduce the cost of structure. It is reducing the size of element, it is reducing the use of concrete. So in all the directions, it is beneficially used, that microsilica. Here we have considered the cost of microsilica also. The only question remains here, which can be answered maybe in long term, that the sustainable availability of microsilica for each concrete construction. That is the only point here. Then one team of mine is working on Martian concrete. Here sulfur concrete is casted by heating the sulfur in a pan of 250 degrees centigrade, and when the sulfur melts completely, sulfur is poured into mold which already contains definite proportion of Martian soil in the form of aggregate. The melted sulfur is thoroughly mixed with the aggregate in the mold and allowed to cool. As compared to traditional concrete, sulfur-based concrete requires less time to gain its final strength. Now, this you might be wondering that how I'm talking about Martian concrete we people are creating here. So what we are doing here, that we are using the aggregates available on Earth, as Martian soil is not available, and with the use of sulfur we are producing the Martian concrete, and that is why we have kept the its name as Martian concrete. And because the work is still going on, so we are expecting the results, and experiment are still in process, so it will not be possible for me to reveal all the details, but once it will, whether it will be positive or negative, we will be publishing that in good peer-reviewed journal. So it definitely will be there in the literature. So now, in conclusion, shall we go back to Stone Age? Now, what to do with this carbon emission and greenhouses emission and so many things? Earlier, we used to dwell in hut and in the nature. So, shall we go back to Stone Age, or shall we start using what mix was used by Romans? And you might be wondering, I have listed a polymer concrete in my list, but I have not uttered a single word about polymer concrete. So that what Romans were using, that was nothing but a polymer concrete only. So now with different kinds of polymers, we are creating that concrete, and that is the reason I have not said anything about polymer concrete. So instead of going back to Stone Age, we can create high strength concrete, so that minimum quantity we can create the desired structure. As this microsilica we have used, one experiment, it proved very nice. So nanosilica is also available, but it was a question of procurement of nanosilica and its cost. Both were not suited for us, and because of that we did not use nanosilica, and we completed our experiment with microsilica. So that can be contributed here, and we can contribute more with different types of say compositions, and we can create the high strength concrete so that minimum quantity we will be able to use. And with high strength concrete and changing design approach, now here I have put the design approach so that structure should experience maximum compression in structural element so that concrete can be utilized to its maximum capacity. Now we all know that concrete is weak in tension, but it is very strong in compression. So if we can create the structure such that the maximum elements of it, structural elements of the building will remain in compression, and with the help of high strength concrete, then if we assume that 10% of its compressive strength is the tensile strength, so if we can create a concrete of say M200 composition, then there may be 20 megapascal will be the tensile strength of concrete. In that case, it will take care of tension in tension zone, and we will have to change our design approach, and certainly some design philosophy will have to produce for this. Develop certain admixtures such that it can increase the desired properties as and when it is required. So we will not compile ourselves or confine ourselves in using only one type of admixture in a single building. Instead of that, we will be able, we should use the different admixtures for different types of structural elements. Well, definitely supervision and all those things will increase, but at the cost of greenhouse emission, that gases, we will go for that certainly. So in the end, we have started our bid. What about you? Well, that is all from my side. If you have any questions, then I'll try to answer some of them.
If any question, then participants should ask to so.
I think this is actually a post-lunch session, and in post-lunch session, generally it is ragging to listen such theoretical thing. I am so sorry, but the concrete is very dry if we speak on, but if you work on it is very, very interesting. So I'm so sorry if I made you to yawn or something like that.
I think that there is no question for participant.
Okay, so
Shall I
well,
conclude?
that is whatever case studies I have shown here, presented, all are we have worked on. So my humble request to our fraternity that start doing bit by bit. We cannot do everything in a single day, but we always can do our bit. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Such a wonderful session should be conducted by Dr. S.V. Chaudhary, sir. For a concrete for the future, we should use this parameter to prepare a concrete for a future expansion. Thanks a lot, sir.